Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times Willy B, we'll be reviewing the first Final Destination. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell.
Welcome back to Fast Times Willy B. I'm Willy B. I've got Mo back with me. Mo, how the hell we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, I reached out to you for a franchise I know you enjoy,
A lot, yeah.
and you were all for it. So today we'll be starting that journey as we get ready for Final Destination Bloodlines hitting theaters this week. We're going to start and review the entire Final Destination franchise as we journey towards the sixth installment. But we're going to start here today back in 2000 with the original Final Destination, the one that started it all. Directors-wise, we've got James Wong. And then cast-wise, Ali Larter is probably the most recognizable face in this movie. Well, Sean William Scott might be, actually. I always forget he's in this one because he's not like a main character.
Yeah, he's
But
just supporting.
He makes his way into it. He has a fun demise. And then we get Tony Todd, obviously, who's, as far as recognizable faces for the franchise goes,
Yeah,
it's definitely him.
He's the face of it.
Yeah. Rest in peace to Tony
Absolutely.
Todd. But we'll start with the good. And I don't care what anyone says. The concept of Final Destination is a really cool concept to me.
I think so. I've always loved it. Why I really love the movies, and I've always explained, is just how I would say kind of realistic some of the scenarios can be. Some of them absolutely not.
Oh,
They're
for
just,
sure.
But some of them you can see actually happening, and why I fell in love with this franchise is because I was like, this is everyday stuff that these people are encountering, meaning that I could encounter it.
Yeah.
And that if I don't be safe while doing some stuff, that could be me. I could just be turned into like hamburger meat.
Yeah. There definitely are a few that are a stretch. I think this first one, I'm trying to think. This first one, other than the bathroom one, a lot of this stuff is pretty, well, the household items. But
yeah,
I mean, I shouldn't say unrealistic because I mean, God forbid, water falls on your computer. Your computer back then, the computer explodes.
Yeah,
it's one of those old computers. So I guess there is some justification to it for sure. But throughout the franchise and the few of the kills in this first one, there are some that are like, man, I don't want to go on an escalator anymore, or I don't want to go to the elevator anymore, like,
or cross the street.
Yeah, there's just there's ones that, like you said, normal everyday things, and it gives you the heebie-jeebies on doing that. I mean, getting on a plane. The premise of this first movie is the plane crash, and I think that's something too. This movie, you get your first one, and I think the plane crash was a really good one to start with because I think there's already that established fear that a lot of people have of flying, even though it is the safest way to travel.
Yeah.
A lot of people just have that fear that you're not on the ground, you have no control over your life right now. This pilot is everything.
Dude, all the time. Anytime somebody's talked about flying or anything, or if I talk about, like, how I have family overseas, talk about that flight, people immediately say, they just go, oh my God, I couldn't do that. I can't even do a flight within the States. But to be over, like a sea, an ocean, and to be in a plane, like, that doesn't scare you. And I will always just go, like, it's either I've done it so many times, or, I mean, what am I supposed to do?
You gotta get over there.
I was like, I gotta go. And if
I ain't taking a boat.
And if something happens, I can't stop it. I just gotta sit there and accept it, like Alex did in the Provision. He just sat there and saw, and all he did was lean back and get turned to a crisp.
Yeah. But the cool thing, too, about this first one is you are introduced to the rules as well. Mm-hmm. You start to figure out, okay, the way they died in the plane crash is the order of their deaths. You start to learn, is there a way to cheat death? And, the moral of each of these movies is there is no way. Yeah. Because the next one, if anybody survived, they don't make it to the third one. But, so it was cool, too, because I'm a fan of how it works. Like, I don't know. To me, some people look at these movies, I feel like, and they go, oh, it's just gore porn. Like, I'm out. But to me, it's like, it's kind of a cool concept. I think it's well thought out. I think the rules are interesting.
Yeah.
And then obviously making Tony Todd the voice just elevates it.
And the human like embodiment of death.
Yeah.
I definitely like that, and I always do, even though it's kind of like cliche in every movie, I still find it really interesting and cool how they always believe that if they intervene or if one specific thing happens, it is going to completely derail Death's pattern, and that's it. Yeah. They're safe. And then, I mean, now that we're about to hit the 6th installment, clearly that doesn't work, but it's kind of just fun to watch their little enthusiasm when you know that that's not going to do anything.
This isn't going to work.
Even if it's months later, nope, it'll catch you.
That's coming for you. For this one, I'd probably put the effects in the good. I think as the franchise goes on, the effects take a hit because they start to go more computer generated and away from practical. But this movie sticks to practical for the most part, so I'm going to throw effects in the good for this one.
I would definitely throw the effects in there. I mean, they were doing some insane gore for like the kills and everything like that in the year 2000, which kind of like, to have that good of effects for that time period and given that budget kind of just touches back to an episode we did a year ago, Ginger Snaps, and how complimented them for the effects of like Ginger's transformation. It's kind of in that same ballpark for me. And why I love this movie and these movies is the budget's not all like one of the big blockbusters you see now and given the time, but they went beyond and show that you did not need that much to make a really good kill or have special effects.
Yeah. And now, like I said, I think these movies are a little underappreciated. I get, the concept, like the idea of they don't really have a story, but they kind of do. I mean, you're following these people trying to figure out how to escape death, and I get they are basically the same story. But I don't know. I have a good time with them, man. I do.
Yeah.
I think they're interesting. I think some of the kills are creative too. You gotta throw that in the creative route. In this first one, we have a couple that I would definitely say are pretty good. I think this first one is probably the most consistently good on the kills front.
I would say so, yeah.
As we get into the franchise, we'll talk more, and in our final thoughts, we'll rank each movie's kills. But this one, I don't think there's any kills where I'm like, that one was bad.
Yeah, like, even if there's something as basic as, like, Terry's kill, still, the way they did it, it was fantastic. And then you have, like, the most, like, out-of-pocket, like, Billy's kill, where it's, like, you're telling me that sheet metal and that's able to happen, but no, on all fronts, all the kills were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Even from basic to really abnormal.
Oh, for sure. And I think, too, this one gets a pass because some of these kills are done multiple times as the franchise moves on, but this movie was the first to do any of them. Yeah. So they also get a kind of a bonus there. Like how you said Terry's is kind of basic. We get kind of the same kind of kill in the fourth one. But because it was done first here, it was that shock factor kill. You're like, oh my God, where did that bus come from? Going 80 down State Street.
Yeah.
But I also enjoy the cast in this one a good bit. I think Ali Larter is a really good final girl. I enjoy her in this one. I think Alex, I can't think of who the guy that played him, but Alex was great too.
Yeah.
I've already, said my praise of Tony Todd as Bloodworth. Sean William Scott, I mean, he's there for comedic relief throughout the movie too. That's another thing that's underrated in this first one. I think this first one's pretty funny. I think most of them have some comedy. Yeah. But Sean William Scott is hilarious in this movie.
Yeah, I would say.
As he is in most movies he's in.
There's definitely the more comedic side, I would say, of the franchise in this first one. And then as it like goes along, some will try to like pick back up on that comedic bit, and some will just kind of be more serious, I would think.
Yeah.
But this first one has a really good mix of both, where it's not overwhelming or it's not too depressing, anything like that.
Yeah. The other thing I like about this movie too is it does create some good tension. I mean, the train scene, that's a very tense scene.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, some of the extended kills, like Luton's kill, I mean, you're walking through this house with her, this house that ends up being the house of hell. Mm-hmm. And so, like, there's good tension throughout this movie, too. I also, something that's interesting to me is, in a lot of the movies after this, the group quickly catches on and is with the person. Alex had to fight for, like, the only one that had his back was Clear.
Yeah.
Everybody else was like, this dude's doing the kit. Like, so that's something that's really sets this first one apart too, is it's interesting in the sense that like Alex isn't a free man in this movie. He's like wanted.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another cool little plot line that you follow along in this first movie that I would throw in the good as well.
Yeah, like the detectives are on him almost everywhere. Yeah. And even when he gets the first little paper that says Todd clears there, and so are the detectives.
Yeah.
And she tries to warn him, like, get out of here. Yeah. And then almost any time he leaves his house, they're like outside of his house ready to trail him, or at the next possible kill. They're there, so is he. And they're like, he's doing this. Yeah. He has to. But then they firsthand witness that he is not doing any of this. No. He's trying to prevent it, but they are still insistent.
Yeah. We yell at the TV, my man's free.
Yeah.
Poor Alex. Yeah. I think that's a cool, a cool little. You don't get that with the rest of the movies because
no.
2nd through 5, they're all, and it's because a lot of, especially the 2nd through the 4th one, they're like, oh, this was like the Flight 180. So like they have that to piggyback off of.
Yeah, they reference it. So
it's not gonna make an appearance like that in this movie. But I thought that was always cool that Alex is like trying to figure this out while he's also being hunted by the police. Like, so he's doing his thing, but.
Which almost led to his death, that he intervened and stopped because the tree had him down. He was drowning, basically, but he was running from the cops, and that's why.
Yeah. So, anything else in the good?
I would say, I've always said it before, still here, and I still am, but a sucker for soundtracks and scores.
Yeah.
And all the pieces for every of the kills were great.
Yeah.
Kind of the music they knew when it had to be something like really low and kind of like hair raising to where it's something really amped up, get the like heart pumping to like Billy's scene, like how he's just screaming at Carter like on the side, like you're dead, and the music is just playing with it too, where you can just sense that something is gonna happen, and I'm like, my heart's about to like just go out of my chest. What is it? Is it this piece of metal under the train we keep coming back to? If so, how is it? And then once it finally did for the first time, I could not believe that that's how it went. I figured it would just cut him in half like a normal movie, but to take like
3/4 decapitation.
Yeah, just for that.
Like and mouth.
And then it just roll into the dirt, and by that point they all have seen everything. Yeah. So they just pretty much just look at each other. They don't look or even are taken back by the fact that he just got like decapitated.
Yeah.
But
no, the music is good. I agree.
That's all I got for the good, I would say. There's in this one, I like the movie overall to where I don't like kind of have it broken down of what's the good. I've pretty much enjoyed for the most part.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't have to like touch too much on it. Now with the other ones, we'll definitely have a lot more to dive into, especially since they build off of these foundation pieces we kind of talked about.
Yeah. So we can hop over to the med then. I don't really have anything in the bad for this movie. I think this is one of the movies that does everything pretty well.
Yeah.
But in the meh, I put the effects in the good. Some of the work we get there with the electric line at the end, you could say isn't great, but there are moments where it looks good. So that's why I'll put it in the meh there. And then
I was gonna say, are you talking like how death kind of builds up to that like kind of moment? Is that what I was thinking? You're
like just the flailing wire. There's moments where you're like, okay, I can tell that's not real. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then the other thing I would say too is it's tough for me because I enjoy the craziness of the kill, but Luton's kill is probably the most far-fetched and probably one of the most far-fetched of the franchise.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is for the bad, I pretty much put bad and meh together.
Okay.
But when I was gonna touch on that is Luton as a whole in general for me,
not a great character.
And I think I told you that when we were watching that is I despised her since the first time I watched this movie. Despised her from the plane all the way to her death, and if anything, it's one of those ones where I was like, good.
Yeah.
Because how she just treats Alex so poorly, like, after the event. Like, yeah, it's not an ideal event. Understandable. But it's not like it's his fault.
Yeah.
It's not like he did it. If anything, he saved you. Be grateful. And then, and then her death, like, that, I just keep thinking, I was like, you deserve this. I think anybody who owns a home knows that if you put a boiling liquid in a container and then immediately dump that out and put ice and ice cold drinks in it, that container is going to break or crack. And she's holding it front facing, meaning it is dripping down in front of her as she walks. You don't feel that?
No.
You don't feel that at all? Or
that's what I mean. It's probably the most far-fetched. In this movie, it definitely is. It is one of the more far-fetched ones in the franchise.
Yeah, and the fact that after Alex, like, discovers it and everything, who's outside conveniently? Billy.
Yeah.
Why is he riding his bike at night, and why is he going past Miss Luton's house? Nobody wants to explain that. Like, why is he there at that
Billy,
time of all times?
It's just Billy.
But,
Billy being Billy.
Yeah. But that's kind of the batter man for me is...
That's really
is Luton. Yeah. That's kind of it. I would say, like, other stuff is just, like, nitpicking pretty much.
Yeah.
Or, like, how I would have liked to see Carter's.
Yeah,
or,
I agree. I agree.
Or kind of getting more of a clarification as to what happened to Clear and Alex after the fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a whole lot in there for the man or bad.
For sure, I agree. So we can hop over to our final thoughts and ratings. We'll start with what do you want to leave off with Final Destination and what do you give it out of 10, and then we'll move to ranking.
With the first one, what I really want to leave off with for my final thoughts is that it's a fun time.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. It gives you a new perspective on, like, horror, thriller, and maybe your everyday life and what you do.
Yeah.
To be safe, to be cautious.
And we're planes.
And that, or anything else that's going to come up, which then you pretty much realize you're just going to need to live in a bubble.
I start backing up from a train. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know if there's shrapnel on the track.
Yeah. Or you just got to think, is there a screw loose on, or screw facing up on the road? Is that going to do anything for me?
The world's an imperfect place.
Yeah. But it's a great time. It's fun. And if you're watching this and haven't seen it and you're now getting into it, well, then I would say lucky you, because now you get this entire franchise, movies back to back to back of it. But as a fan who watched it a long time ago when there was only, I think, about 2, maybe 3 movies out at the time when I started getting into the franchise.
I think I watched the third one first before any others, and then I watched the first 2, and that was before the fourth one had come out.
That's what I think is. I think the third, because the third one was on FX all the time, and if I didn't say it on here, like on any of the episodes, I know I've told you and many other people in person, FX is where I watched a lot of movies for the first time. And then having to wait for all those other ones, it was painful as a fan. But now if you get into them, it's a great time. Binge watch all of them. Yeah. Especially...
They're an hour and a half each.
Yeah.
Pacing's in the good. These movies fly, dude.
They do. And I was going to say, it's going to be hard not to binge all of them because they do them so well.
In like 2 days.
Yeah. So rating out of 10, what I would give it for the first one, I would give it a 7.8 out of 10.
Okay. For me, so like I said, I get when people say like the story's not all the way there, but for me, these movies do what they're trying to do well. Yeah. And this is a 7 out of 10. It's a good movie.
Sweet.
I don't think you can give it less than a 7 because to me it's good.
Yeah.
It does what it's going for well.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a fun time, like you said. So now we'll finish this video with ranking the kills of each movie. So we'll do this for each video, but we have 5 kills in this movie. We have, in order, the first kill would have been Todd in the bathroom. We've got Luton's House of Hell. Or is Luton before or after Terry?
I was going to wait, but it's Todd, Terry, Luton, Billy, Carter.
Okay, those are our 5. So we'll go from 5 to 1 and we'll take turns. We'll start with 5th. What do you have in last place?
Oh, in last place, if you've made it this far and you're watching, then you know who I'm going to put. Luton. Luton's at last for me. I mean, not a great character. In my opinion, not a great death or a very unrealistic where it's like, come on. You want me to believe that? No. And the fact that the chair came down to double down and shove the knife like through. And then the house explodes just perfectly when Alex is able to clear it. Get out. No.
It's far-fetched. Yeah. I'll agree. For me, for 5th, I'm going to go with Carter's just because it's cut.
Okay.
I think this would be ranked higher if we actually got to see it. So for that, I'm putting it in 5th. But like I said, I think this first one, I enjoy all 5 of them.
Yeah.
So it's 5th, but it's not towards the bottom of the franchise by any means.
Oh, no way.
So we can hop over to fourth. What do you have in fourth place?
At fourth, I have Todd.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, I don't know what it is about, like, that moment. I think more the water, if anything, and
it's like blue.
Yeah,
blue Powerade.
and then and then the shower, like with the bottles. Yeah. I think is what mostly gets me. Like the shampoo, the body wash, he just kicks them once, and then the caps immediately fall off.
Yeah.
Were they even securely on to begin with?
Yeah.
And how he falls into it and is hanging in the air, and it has enough momentum to wrap around multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, he should have just fell through, and I think it would have been better if he would have fallen through and it was just a clean slice.
Yeah.
Rather than telling me it's stop. Yeah, rather than stopping there and then just having enough momentum to lap multiple times.
Yeah.
Or how he could have avoided it multiple times by, like, maybe banging on the walls harder or anything. Yeah. He wasn't home alone.
No.
So he could have banged on the walls or something.
Yeah.
But that's why it's second from the bottom, because I at least like Todd more.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't on screen nearly as much, I liked him a bit more than I did Luton.
I actually have Todd's in fourth as well. I think the thing I like about Todd's is that it looked like self-harm.
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of played into the Alex story a little more. But I agree with everything you said as far as the far-fetchedness go and you watching the kill.
Yeah.
And I agree with all of that.
And kind of to touch on, like, what you said about, like, how it does look like self-harm. I think I mentioned that in the franchise, that looks like, I think that's the major one that looks like self-harm.
Yeah.
To where even after all this news is broken out, like that there's the, like, scenario, the situation, everything like that people will not, like, put Todd's death in there. They will always put him as a victim of self-harm rather than him being wrapped up in death's, like, plan and everything like that because of how it looked, how they found him.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that kind of how we said Alex is, like, seeming like a madman and everything like that because his friend just killed himself according to everybody else, but he's like, no, death got him. Death got him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of that, but I got him at fourth.
For sure. So we'll hop over to third.
For third, I have Terry's Tire Town.
Terry's Tire Town.
Yeah, heading off the bike. Not the bike, off the bus.
Getting hit by a bike, that'd be a fast bike.
I know.
That bus was trucking, though.
I was going to say, that's like, they're in a small town,
yeah.
And we see that pretty much because we see the entire town, like, when Carter, like, speeds off and everything. We see it's like, this is not a big town.
No.
So what business does that bus have going that fast? And she was not that far off of the curb when she was yelling. She was not in the middle of the lane. It was almost like if that bus would have been like an inch or two closer to the curb, it would have just popped up onto the curb.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but it completely just demolishes her into the point where it splatters enough to get on all of them that are like 5-6 feet away from her.
Mm.
But I do really like that, and
the shock factor.
Yeah, that's mostly it.
Yeah.
And you can kind of sense that it's coming because you can hear her yell, "You can all just drop dead."
Yeah.
And then it just plays on that, "No, you."
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's at third for me.
For sure. This is where I put Luton. I agree with everything you said as far as far-fetchedness go, but this is a fun one to me. This is one of those ones that just falls into like the creativity side of things for me where I'm like, this is probably one that wouldn't happen in real life, but, like, she got what she deserved type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, because she was so awful.
Yeah.
But, it almost feels like you ever play the board game Mousetrap?
Yeah.
It almost feels like that. Like, she's the mouse, and all these things that are happening are the board game's trap. Like,
and it's one of those that, like, wouldn't happen... Which that's kind of what I like is that it's a kill that happened that's possible back then.
Yeah.
But not today. I mean, given
and
the fact of the computer it being a tube screen and everything like that.
Yeah.
But that's how I kind of feel about it. But I got Terry at 3.
Okay. Second place.
Second place for me is Billy Butched. Okay. I do like that, and I think kind of like how I explained in the good, the music, the build up for it, and everything like that, and then kind of like with Terry's is the shock factor.
Yeah.
Because we just seen her get demolished by the bus. I'm like, okay, that's got to be the furthest they'll do. There's no way. And that they just sliced his head.
Yeah.
And it just rolls, and they like have the 5 seconds of it rolling around in the ground like it's nothing. Like it's not just somebody's head. It absolutely had me like appalled by it. I was like, oh my God. And that's why it's up there for me. And plus, I mean, I liked Billy as a character. I did too.
Yeah, for sure. For second for me, this is where I'm gonna put Terry. I love the bust down scene. I think it's mostly the shock factor that does it for me, because as we get down into this franchise, there's another one similar to it that isn't rated as highly for me, because I'm like, okay, this just felt like unoriginal at this point. But since this is the first movie, it gets a little bonus points because it was that shock factor. You're like, where the hell did that bus come from? And it just showed you that they're willing to go to extents, like you said, with the blood splatter and the gore. I thought it all looked, decent.
Yeah.
So.
And then
top spot.
Number 1, I almost read off my second list real quick. That would have been embarrassing. I got Carter's Cutaway.
Okay.
And I know that's at the bottom for you, but that's at the top for me.
Yeah.
Just because I still, what mostly puts it up there for me is the fact that it's months after, half a year after the fact of the entire tragedy. And just, it's more of a symbolic message that even if you've missed this block period of like all these deaths, it's still around the corner. It will get you. It's got your number. Doesn't matter where or when. And that's what I kind of like. But my only critique, like I said, is I wish we could have seen it, because seeing the whole grid layout of that sign coming down on him would have been really cool. And an extra little Easter egg of it being numbered like 180.
Yeah.
When it's coming swinging at him, you see the 180 behind and that whole grid.
Yeah. So for my top spot, I got Billy. Like you said, you didn't really. You keep getting this cut way to the shrapnel. You're like, oh, are they gonna cut him half? What are they gonna do? And then you get the 3/4 decapitation, and you're like, whew, word. Okay. Yeah. This was the one where you knew that this franchise wasn't a messing around. In my opinion, you get a little glimpse of it with Terry, and this just pushes the needle even more. And so when you start, getting into a second and third movie, you're like, what's next? And this movie, to me, created that intrigue within the franchise more than any other kill in this movie.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely one that, like, when you see clips of it online, it's definitely blurred.
Yeah.
Or it has that, like, warning above it. Because there's, like, a ton of the other kills in the franchise where there's no warning, nothing. You see it as it is. But for Billy's, you get that warning of, like, are you sure you want to watch this?
They topped him off, man.
Yeah.
But a lot of good kills in this first movie. I think it's the lowest kill count of any of the 5 movies, but it's 5 that are definitely memorable. So they do that right. And then obviously the plane crash being, like I mentioned in The Good, it's just something that people have a real life fear of. So making that the first, premonition of the movie, of the franchise, I think was a good route to go as well. And all in all, like you said, it's a fun time, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I love this franchise, is they're a great time. And I don't know, I kind of like the more realistic sense of, like, the premonition accidents and everything like that. Like, this can happen.
Yeah.
So, to some degree.
It's a good buddy movie. Like, they're a good time. Watch with a group of friends. I wouldn't take, like, a first date to watch Final Destination, but if we're shooting the shit with some dudes, like, hell yeah, throw Final Destination on. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, and then, if anything, when you're with the buddies, you can rank the kills at the end and make your arguments as to, like, why this kill belongs up here compared to this kill.
Why Carter's the word. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
But
all right.
No, it is a fun time. But that'll do it for Final Destination. Mo, thanks for coming on, my friend.
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you all for watching. If you like what you're watching, check out some other videos. Hit the subscribe button or follow the social links down below. Make sure you stick around because we've got 2 through 5 coming your way, and then 6 to finish off the week.
I was going to say, if you're watching this, we'll see you in a minute.
Yeah, so we'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.